It's time to separate the fascia, guys. Separate the real fascia from the boys. Separate the real fascia from the boy fascia. This shit cracks me up more than anything, guys, because like my first gripe with my industry was that they didn't integrate enough when it came to training. I'd always be like, everybody very ironic, I have to say. So what's going on, guys? I want to hear what's going on with you guys. I was gonna talk about riff about some things, but I don't think I am. Fortunately, I haven't really been on Instagram like much. I'm like learning to balance my time on this app. Thinking about it less, fortunately. But I'm thinking about the world more, and I'm just like, oh God, man, we have a fucking mountain to climb as a species. I'm taking 3 months off to do FP full time. No, Juana, did not see your DM. I'll maybe check it later. I'm finding myself having less to say as I'm getting older. I used to be very vocal and wanted to talk more. I used to be much more talkative. These days, I don't want to talk much. And I'm wondering if it's like, if I'm moving in that direction where it's like, I'm going to become the opposite of who I was when I was young. There's so much I wanted to explain to people before. Now I'm like, I guess I'd rather just troll and just tell people that, everything. I'm on a path to isolate fascia. Do tell right, started renting space to teach and practice FP. Good shit, man. Hustle, man. The people need this stuff. You got some great shit coming, man. Like, just so much cool stuff in terms of like what the next project function tech is going to be. It's just like, it's crazy. My God, it's been quite the undertaking, though. So many like little details you have to like map out. It's going to be really hard for somebody to recreate. Really hard. So if you're going to be a part of it, it's like, you want to talk about a great business opportunity. Jesus. Never mind that. I mean, for me, it's more I just want to interface. And you know what? Like, even if the business doesn't really grow that much at some level, I'm like, I'd like to see it grow. I think it's going to have to. I think I'm going to have to get it to spread just because I see where the state of the world is at. And I see like the lunacy on both ends of the political spectrum, and that like the youth is kind of being dragged towards both sides. And to me, there's like a trajectory that's clearly going to be progressive for most people. And then there's a trajectory that's not. And you have one side that knows this, and they're just kind of like, I'm bored. It's like it's like we just have like these people that are like super fucking bored, and they're like just thinking like they're operating from this vantage point that they're like, it's more exciting to them to troll people and get a reaction out of people on social media than it is to actually solve their problems. Like, they're like, to fix your shit, like it's somewhat of a boring endeavor. You have to chase the boredom. You have to chase boring conclusions. That's what got me to learn what I have in my life, was just trying to find the most boring conclusion. And so it's just so hard for me to just be like, yeah, do I kind of grow this company or do I not? Like, in some capacities, I'm like, yeah, I'll just move somewhere into like Central America or some shit, and I'll just buy a giant plot of land or something. Maybe I'll move back to Hawaii and buy a giant plot of land, and then I'll just have people fly to me, and if they want to train and use my tech, they can. And if it doesn't grow, then so be it. But I mean, we have so many people dead set on wanting to open up these project function facilities that I think it's just an inevitability that people are going to just eat this stuff up. The scale at which we're going to be able to fix people's problems, the levels at which we'll be able to fix people's problems, going to be crazy. It'll be way more affordable. All these things are going to kind of come together. So I see this as an inevitability. But I don't really have attachments. It would have been nice to know that we had at least some level of stability within our social system for a while. So I wouldn't have to, so I could just have fun with it. But now I'm just kind of like, I feel like I'm at a place now, I'm at a place where our culture doesn't have very, very many good role models, very good examples that lead from the front. And I'm probably leaning in the direction of having to be that guy in many regards, because I don't do drugs. I don't live like a degenerate. Outside of maybe excessively eating some food sometimes, that would probably be it. But outside of that, I don't even drink caffeine or do anything like that. And I think I live pretty ethically. I'm innovative. I work really hard. So I see like these signs of like, okay, we need leadership now. And I'm like, I don't really know if I want to be it. I don't know if I want to be that guy. But in many regards, I don't even know if it's whether I have a choice at some point. Because I look at the candidates that exist for leadership, and I'm like, dude, these people are just unbelievable. Wow, there is this beautiful bird outside. Whew. Oh, it's a beauty. It's yellow. Oh my God. It's like yellow and black. It's got like the Steelers color. Damn, that thing is beautiful, man. Holy crap. It's funny, it's chirping. I remember one time I asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, why do birds chirp? And it's like, they chirp to, and you're like thinking, oh, it looks like they're making music or something. It's like, no, they're just signaling to other birds that, hey, this is my spot. And if you come by, there's going to be trouble for you. This is my shit. So essentially, like, what you're hearing is just like, when you see the birds chirping like that, it's like literally like people on X, like tweeting at each other hatred. It's like, yeah, like it's the same thing. It's just like, it's like essentially they're just talking shit from what I understand. But yeah, I get a sense that the world needs leadership. And we need effective leaders. We need leaders that are ethical and that can also execute. And then at some level, I'm like, I guess I have to probably be this. And on top of that, you can't have leaders that are corny, because people that are corny are detached from reality. You can't have people that are fucking detached from reality operating in positions of leadership. It just doesn't work that way. Especially the youth now, they're just like, they're so raw. Very lazy, I'll say, though. Very lazy, very uncontrollable, very apt to make excuses for their bullshit, very apt to look for the most exciting conclusion versus the most practical one. The most practical, the most exciting solutions, but not the most practical ones. Are you more or less optimistic about humanity now than in your past? Definitely less, bro. Eddie, I would say definitely less. I thought the information age would... My perspective was that giving people more access, like giving them access to the Library of Alexandria, would lead them to the right conclusions. That the access to information was going to be what got them to figure it out. But it turns out that spoiling people and giving them everything that they would ever need was the worst thing that you could ever do for them. Like having restriction was a better thing, because they don't know how to handle. The issue with giving people the option to choose for themselves is that if they have bad programming, they make the wrong choices for the rest of their life. And then the rest of the species has to deal with that. And so what we're essentially left with now as the only option is to have a tyrannical leadership that governs from the top down because the people at the bottom can't deal with having freedom or more degrees of freedom. That's the situation that we're facing right now. We have to confront this idea of fascism because the people at the bottom behave so irresponsibly that the only way that you can sustain any level of order is by having top-down control that's just extremely authoritative, having a top-down control that just micromanages every fucking process in civilization. It's because people at the bottom just simply can't. They don't want to sit here and like navigate their quote-unquote agency. They don't want to think objectively. So yeah, I'm much more pessimistic about the future, to be completely honest, bro. I've never seen people become so fucking stupid, ever. I watched this Mehdi Hassan Jubilee debate, and I was just like, oh my god, these people that he's debating with. You get these dudes talking about, like, because they were fucking related to the founding fathers of this country, that they're Native Americans. I'm like, all right, well, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. It's like, from a perspective of being a native to a region, it's like you could say that white people are native to Europe, but you can't say that they're a native to the continent of the continents of America. Like, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. And I say this as being a mostly European human myself. But it's like anybody who just operates within the confines of logic understands that logic fucking falls flat on its face. But we have to entertain these people for some reason. Because Elon Musk thinks that fucking freedom of speech and freedom of reach are the same thing. Indigenous versus native. Strike wrestles admit it's the same shit, bro. It's the same shit. Like, you'll always find that the people that don't innovate shit are the ones that have the most outlandish opinions about stuff like this. The least practical. Anybody who has like significant levels of utility to the civilization usually ends up coming back to the center from their political spectrums, because they understand that it's like all the progress that we see in the world comes from science and engineering. That's the majority, and then people working and then following through to that's another thing too. It's like we moved into a direction where everything's about IQ and being intelligent and shit like that. But it's like, hey, bro, you could be the smartest engineer. You could be the most brilliant scientist, but if you don't have somebody wake up in the morning to do the job, your engineering and your science goes to shit. It's very simple. If people don't, everybody is so important to this civilization. Everyone is so important. Well, everyone that works. The people that don't work, that like to always just find somebody to blame, those people aren't so important. But by giving them the opportunity, and I said this way before, guys, I always said, I don't believe in giving everybody freedom of reach. It's like, allow them to have their opinion, but don't give every fucking retard a megaphone. I'm hoping that the people that run these social media apps see it as such, and they explain it as such to say, hey, look, we believe in freedom of speech, but we don't want to platform these people. Like Instagram, for example, is a platform. It's like a fucking, it's like a television network. And the way I see it is, I'm like, okay, if the television network doesn't want certain types of programming on it, then guess what the television network does? It excludes certain individuals. You quote unquote censor them. It's very simple. So yeah, I'm much more pessimistic. When a guy that was supposed to be brilliant, that I thought was brilliant, whose name was Elon Musk, turns out to actually be a fucking moron. You're like, wait a minute. When you start asking the questions, the very simple questions, because I'm actually a guy that like innovates. I have inventions in my name, several inventions. All the creations that you guys have seen with functional patterns, that came from me. All that shit came from me. So somebody who has to like manage operations within my company to get shit done, and somebody who actually invents for a living and makes money on those inventions and has been doing it for 15 years, I had assumed that all these guys in Silicon Valley did the same shit. But it turns out all they fucking do is just micromanage shit. They don't invent anything. They're all just playing a fucking money game. So when you begin to realize that the people that run the show, as high as their IQ might be, are incredibly fucking stupid, you're just like, okay, well, you begin to then ask yourself, like, what's their agenda? What are they seeking to do? What's their ideal world? You know what I mean? What's their approach to fixing what exists in our reality? Really what I gather is that these people, like these fucking dorks, were like, they wanted to live forever. They wanted to avoid death. And the clock is ticking. And they're like, if we don't innovate really, really quickly, then there's no place for us, because we never learned how to actually take care of our bodies. And the therapies that we employ don't really work that great. And so they're aging at an accelerated rate, and they have no idea how to solve it. And so they're like, well, what we have to do is get society to change really, really fast so we can accommodate our perpetual existence. And so what we need to do is change the government to then have like a fucking... What's so crazy about it is I'm like again, I said it on the last live feed, but like Michael Faraday didn't come from a wealthy upbringing, but yet he ushered in like incredible innovation. It didn't come from dumping tons and tons of fucking money into like universities. It's going to happen when it happens. Like what I've learned in my life, because I'm a creative person. Again, I'll say this as a guy who actually invents shit for a living, right? As a guy that actually solves problems, as a guy who's the CEO of his company, but who actually invents, right? What I'll tell you is that you can't force creativity. It just happens. It's spontaneous, and it's very difficult to pin down when creativity actually happens, especially useful creativity. That's the hardest part. To really develop useful creativity is not as simple as just throwing money at a fucking problem. You can't throw money at a problem and expect for there to be like a bunch of useful creativity. You just can't. And so when I really begin to look at like all this shit with like the power structures of our society, the question I'm left to ask is, I'm like, okay, what's this really about? And I think it's most of the time it's more like, hey, can we keep the people distracted enough to not look at what the fuck we're doing, I guess? To not hate on us so much. It's more like the ultra rich just don't want to be blamed for the world being the way the fuck that it is. And so they're going to maybe like fuck with narratives or propagate certain types of content, and it's not all of them. I think that there's a lot of like people that run social media apps that are doing this like earnestly. They're doing it with like good intentions. But then there's other people that are like just outright trying to fucking like not have the raging mob attack them, which is also understandable. So I find empathy for people at the bottom, in the middle, and at the top. I find empathy with everybody. And I just find that most people have not... I feel like I've learned so much, especially like in the last 20 years of my life. I've learned so fucking much. But yet when I look around at other people in this world, I'm like, I don't know if that the same thing can go for most people. Like there's people that have learned how to make a lot of money, but they never learned wisdom. I feel like I've been on like a wisdom fast track in many regards. I think that was like the thing that I was destined to develop is more wisdom. One second, guys. That was a good question you asked, Eddie. I had better aspirations for the world at this time, but don't get me wrong. It's not to say that I didn't anticipate this. I knew that we were eventually going to deal. I knew this probably back in like 2002, 2003. I was like, yeah, we're probably going to go through some kind of a demographics crisis, right? We're going to operate through a plurality, and there's going to be all kinds of crazy shit that's going to happen. There's going to be probably like massive amounts of migrations to all over the place, because we were in a war I believe around like 2003, 2004, we were in a war and I was like, how much imbalance is this going to cause in the Middle East? What the fuck is going to happen? And at some point I assumed that in the transition, because we're probably in the transition, that things were going to be incredibly fucking chaotic. And so I prepared for this time. But now I'm here and I'm like, fuck. I was just like, I was hopeful that this wouldn't happen, even though I kind of knew it would. I think those that were in the know, they already knew this was going to happen. I was just like, nah, let's see if we can will our way out of it. Let's see if we can carry some level of optimism. But I was like, nah, this can't work. And although I'm not a communist, there's a lot of things that Karl Marx said that are just fucking spot on. It's fucking spot on. Super spot on. And the capitalists are just like, no, we can innovate our way out of this. And there will always be new markets. And we can always just kick the fucking can down the road and hope that things are just going to fucking work out through capitalism. And you're like, you think so? I don't know. James Zahn writes, or James Hahn writes, I was thinking that you said FP should be the highest valued company in the world, and I 100% agree. You know, I honestly, bro, I thought that when I first started this company, that this would be like a slam dunk for liberals and people that were on the left. I thought that functional pattern would just get these people to be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This totally makes sense. Like I came from the generation of George Carlin, where it's kind of like, yeah, bro, don't be like some macho jack-off who wants to like just lift weights and just be like toxically masculine. That's the generation I came from. I thought that these people would hear about functional patterns and be like, well, that's what I want to do. But then you find out that all these people are mostly just drug addicts and you're like, shit. And it's not hardcore conservatives that adopt functional patterns, because they don't. They just don't fucking like. For whatever reason it is. People, if they swing one direction or the other, if they're hyper conservative, if they're at any level, like any decent level to the right of center, usually they don't get what functional patterns is about. Usually it's people that are on the center to the left that usually get what FP is. But I thought it would be a slam dunk. But nah, man, people are starting to value this, but not at the speed that they needed to. They were so quick to want to gravitate, just being like, hey, look, I want to do some fucking, give me some ayahuasca, give me some mushrooms. That's kind of like that's the way that they approached it. I want shrooms. I want breath work. I want yoga. I want Pilates. I want everything except what functional patterns is. I want everything except what's going to help reduce friction in my body. I want everything except what's going to like give direction to my myofascial system. And here we are. There's people on peptides like fucking crazy. There was this influencer that I saw yesterday. She used to be overweight. And I was looking at her profile. And I was like, holy shit, she lost so much weight. And she has a brand new face. Oh yeah, she got loads and loads of plastic surgery done. And this plastic surgeon did a fantastic job. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, now her skull is ossified into that surgery, and good luck having any reformation of your collagen on your face as you get older. You pretty much just ruined it. And then she was a person who's probably taking lots of peptides, might be on, I would guess BPC for sure, and then obviously Sermorelin would be another one. But then I could tell she was probably taking like Ozempic and shit too. And I was just like, fuck. This is wild. This is where we've gone to. I saw like Miley Cyrus. Her body was so fucked up. And then I saw her dancing again and whatnot. I'm like, oh, she went to one of these doctors that has her on all these injectables. And I'm just like, oh my God. Can you talk about qualities you look for in a long-term partner? No, because I never really look for a long-term, like that much of a long-term partner. I take relationships day by day, bro. That's just kind of how I do it. I try and demonstrate gratitude every single day with anything that I do. But for me, it's more like I think respect. The difficulty is when you're looking for a long-term partner, it's like the first thing you want to lead with is having somebody that is respectful of you. But then you have to become somebody who merits respect. That's a big part right there. Do you merit respect? And I've known plenty of males, because you're a male and you're asking this question. I've known several males who do merit respect. And man, the problems that they deal with, the dismissal that they've dealt with from their partners is pretty fucking wild. And I think about also like relationship dynamics in general. It's just like, I mean, I don't mean to like throw women under the bus or whatever, but I do feel like a lot of this lack of progress that exists in modern civilization has kind of come from women. And a lot of it is, it's like they're a bit picky, you know? I think everybody can be picky, but at some point we have to be real and just understand that it's like, hey, like it's just like it's that whole thing with hypergamy or whatever, right? I've known many men that don't make lots and lots of money, you know, 6-figure men, and they want to orient themselves. They want to be regimented to functionality. They don't want to drink alcohol. They don't want to drink coffee. They don't want to stretch. They kind of want to just chill at home, cook, eat at home, avoid eating like really crappy foods, all these things. And there just aren't women that are interested in that. They just aren't. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of FP men that have, like dudes in FP that have developed relationships in FP. Don't get me wrong. It's not like FP is not an incel culture by any stretch. A lot of marriages, a lot of people having families in FP, so obviously that's not the case. But I will say that there's been many instances where I'll find that women just don't value a good man. They just don't. On the aggregate, they don't value a good man. They say they value certain things, but they just don't. Like, there's just so many buttons you got to push. It's like when you take on a functional patterns life approach, it tends to be kind of boring. It tends to be monotonous. There's not a lot of change to it. I think by the time that a woman in the modern age would be comfortable with a boring man, it's like they're going to probably be in their 40s and 50s. They'll already be old and they won't really be on the dating market anymore. But I found that there are many more males up until this point that are open to it. Although I see that there's signs of things potentially changing, but generally speaking, when women come into FP, they come into FP a little bit more late in their life, not early in their life. It's just the general trend that I tend to find. When women are generally younger, they tend to seek out really, really stupid men, really stupid, attractive men that are sought after by many different women. They go after that top, whatever it is, the top 10%, top 20%, and they just disregard all the other dudes. And I think a lot of the dudes that come into FP are they're probably within the bottom of that 10 or bottom of that 20%. And it's because they don't have a lot of money. Like, they're not like loaded, and it makes it difficult for them. And so today, to be a man and make it to be able to get respect, you got to check off a lot of boxes. And so for me, I checked off a lot of boxes before I even got into like thinking about having a serious relationship. I had to check off a lot of boxes. I had to get a lot of my shit together to get to that place, because I knew I could sense this. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I know relationships, they're transactional primarily. Every single relationship you're ever going to have in life is transactional. 100% of them. Because biology is transactional. Plants give us oxygen. We give plants carbon dioxide. So we have a symbiosis. So I have incentive to have a bunch of plants around my house. And so with relationships, they're transactional. And I knew that. And people always just talked about like love, unconditional love, all this corny shit. And I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. I was very red pill. But the thing is, I'm not red pill because these red pill dudes are just like fucking... It's just what they do is gay. They just have like a gay approach to life in general. Everything's just about the biological imperative driven through sexual imperatives. And it's like, no, bro. Like, there's ways that you can prompt regeneration within your body so you don't have to settle for like fucking like sexual duplication.
Like, you settle for sexual duplication. Don't get me, like, fine, if you want to have kids, cool, do you, but humans settle into that. Animals settle into that. If they have their choice, they wouldn't have to settle into that. And that's what I'm trying to tap into. That's what I've been tapping into. And so that whole thing with a long-term partnership, bro, it really just comes down to respect. Can you find somebody that will respect you? That's the first part. First part of it is, can you become a respectable person? And then after the second part after that, can you find somebody that's going to respect you? And the thing is, it's probably going to be somewhat of a grind. You're going to have to search for it, and you're going to get tired, and you're going to get like bummed out. You're going to have to face rejection. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's like lacking in the modern age. I just think people have gotten so used to getting like immediate gratification. Like, immediate gratification comes so easily that when they're not given immediate gratification, it like stings them so hard. So all they ever pursue is just immediate gratification. Like, whatever happened to just learning to be okay with rejection? You know? Whatever happened to that? Like, I had to learn as a 5'4" tall Mexican American, right? And I'm just a human. I'm just saying, like, what people perceive me as. You get what I mean? I'm just a person. Because when I look at people, I'm like, yeah, I tend to just look at people, but I judge people by what they say initially, and I say, okay, what kind of words do they like to use? Because I'm into general semantics. That's why I always talk about like the tyranny of words. I judge people by how they use their words. And I'm like, oh, that's how they phrase their sentences. That person's probably full of shit. That person's KPIs are not objective KPIs. That person has objective KPIs. I can vibe with that person. I don't give a fuck what their skin color is or what their fucking ethnic background is. But I'm just saying that the perception of being a short, 5'4" tall brown man, like there's a lot of rejection you face in society when you're in my place. And I kind of just understood it, and I knew that I'm like, hey, that's just it's just something that exists in you, and it's never going to go away. But it's like, it's something, and it's good. Like, to fear rejection is good, but at the same time, at some point, you have to learn to get over it. You got to get over your fear of rejection, and there's so many people that are just afraid of it. And I think that's why we're in the place that we're in now. And there's so many things. There's just so many complications that we're facing as a species right now. And it's like, yeah, my general pessimism is that I just don't think that people, for the most part, are going to be able to make it. And so it really just comes down to where if you don't make good moves now, guys, I'll just tell you that much. I'm not meaning to scare the shit out of you, but if you don't make good moves right now, if you don't make the wise choices right now to find the right people to be around, and find the right career to be in, whether that's in functional patterns or not, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And the funny thing is, I remember I used to tell people this shit back in like 2016 when I was living in Seattle. I'd run my courses and I'm like, guys, some shit's coming. I even talked about, I thought it would be like a bacterial virus because bacteria was becoming antibiotic resistant. And I was like, yeah, there's a virus on the way. 4 years later, we have COVID. And I'm like, fuck, here we are. No, I guess it was before that. I would talk about this back like in 2012, 2013, I believe. I think I would put some posts up on social media. But I remember I would have my courses, and I'm like, guys, like, you need to prepare right now. What's so funny is that how naive I am. Because back 10 years ago, I was telling everybody about, like, yeah, you guys, there's an impending potential doom that's coming our way, and if you don't prepare right now, you're going to pay for that later. And then here I am, and I was like, oh, maybe things will get better. And it's like, no, bro, that guy that you were 10 years ago seeing the signs, that dude was right. You saw all the signs that were there, and you were trying to be optimistic about what we could do, but it's like, you saw the signs, bro. You saw the signs. I think so many of us did. And it's like, still progress. I got electric cars. I got 2 electric cars. Pretty sick. I'll say that. I charge my car at home. Definite progress. But when I look at the state of humans right now, and I think about like how bad they are as people, it's one thing to be incompetent, and it's another thing just to be a bad person. And I just think, to be completely honest, like, shame doesn't exist in our civilization anymore. I just think that generally you have like people that are fucking, that would claim to not be, almost like demonic, and they would push the direction of saying that people are demonic. It's like the people that would say that others are demonic are the fucking, like literally the fucking, like you could see it on their face that they're pretty much demons. It's just like, wow, bro. Like seriously, wow. Like what have you become? I know I'm not that. I think I can say that with a degree of certainty. Danny Vega writes, just separate the fascia from the muscles in your movement and everything will be solved forever. Pretty much. It's like you'll be super athletic immediately. When you can just separate the fascia from your body, like literally, like if you, like I'm thinking about developing this next tool where I can like literally like, without having to like obviously split my skin open, I'm going to get something where you can like go into a spot and you can tear the fascia out and then you just start like separating it. You get what I'm saying? Like I can get the muscles and then the fascia out of my body, and then I'll separate them, and then I'll put them in back into my arm, and then at that point I'll have like fascial separation from my muscles. It'll be freaking fantastic. When do you think people will adopt a health long-term approach? Humans are space, animals are space binders, bro. Meaning that they operate in the now. They're just like observing things in the moment, like right now. They're looking for a signal to wake them up to react to something. They react to things in the immediate. Human beings are time binders. Meaning like we react to things in the future, and we extrapolate the future from what we learned in the past. And so we generally tend to not focus so much on what's happening currently, and we move between the past and the future. We think about the past to inform us on the moves that we need to make into the future. The sensations that we had in our past, which we tend to gravitate towards pleasure and away from pain, the things that gave us some semblance of pleasure when we were young, or whatever spiked our dopamine, or it's not even pleasure, whatever our common association was, or what our most typical association was when we were young, we're just trying to create those patterns as we're adults, because you're just being programmed early. So it's not even that we're seeking pleasure, we're just programmed to be a certain way. So it's like if you were a sickly person when you were young and you were around people that were drug addicts, the parents were drug addicts, they were sick. And so what you tend to do as you become older is you just propagate that same illness. And so you're either sick, so you're just wired a certain way when you're young, and you tend to just live out those patterns when you get older. And you're trying to just repeat that same neurochemical process. And the thing is, like the reason I don't like drugs is because the drugs tend to make you more of a space binder. They tend to make you think more in the immediate and not in the long-term past and the long-term future. Like your ability to move along the timeline is reduced significantly because you're too busy living in the now. And so until I see signs that human beings are better at time binding, I don't see that they're going to be able to figure this out. Time binding is a term that people use to like a word that people use to describe time binding is called deferring gratification. They've conducted studies on this. I think it's like it's a study. It's the thing that determines whether you're going to be successful in life or not. And it's like they give these kids. They'll be like, hey, look, here's a donut. This is like the test. Be like, here's a donut. You get to eat it right now if you want. But if you wait 2 hours, you'll get a second donut. If you wait those 2 hours, you'll get 2 donuts instead of just having one. You'll get one extra donut. The kids that eat the donut in the immediate, I would classify as being more like an animal. The kid that waits is a time binder. They tend to be more human. So I think that the main attribute that makes a person human is patience, having the willingness to wait. Like, I feel like my life has just been a waiting game, to be honest. And I think that that's possibly what makes me somewhat human. It's just I've been really patient. I've been patient for a very long time. I've wanted to be jacked for a long time. Even when I was young, I wanted to be like a jacked dude that had a bunch of muscles on his body. But I was like, nah, at some point I'm like, I feel like there's something more to this. So let me wait. Let me just wait and just keep working really, really hard to see if I can find a better solution. And now I've got all this crazy shit. I wish I could show you. But I can't. I have to protect my IP. This is capitalism. And so this is just the way that it works. You guys will get to see it soon enough when you come to Project Function Center. Elias writes, you only merit respect through being a master of something, regardless of what it is. If people think they can turn to you as a dictionary on a topic, they will respect you. That's valid for sure. If you become very useful to people, it's just that the issue is, Elias, is what you become a master of actually useful? That's the question. Because if you become a master of being like fake, as many people do when they're on social media, it's like you can become a master of that and you'll get respect. It's kind of like, the way I see respect is kind of like you need to be an objectively respectable person, and it has to correspond to like natural laws, right? Not to like religious ideology. Sometimes there's overlap because sometimes religion gets things right, but it's like there's just like common sense respect. And like, if you can become a common sense, respectable person, this is going back to the whole thing with needing respect to have like functional relationships. If you have common sense respect, then at that point, you're going to be around people that are really cool. And I don't have a lacking of that. There's a lot of really good people in FP. So I have that. In that regard, I'm probably the wealthiest person on the planet. And I don't even say that just because I rip everybody's ass. Like I tear into everybody. I'm constantly letting people know like, hey, you're fucking up all the time, and they stick around. Shane Delange writes, just about every female bio on a dating app is a list of things that they want a man to do for them. It's bleak out there. Yeah, bro, it's wild. It's wild. And I would wager that none of those things that they would ever want is like, I want a man to make me more objective. I would guarantee that not a single one of those dating profiles would be like, I'm looking for a man to help me become a more objective person. I guarantee you'd never find, it's rare. I've never seen a single woman ever say anything like that. Shit, you barely see men, but if you sit down with a man and you tell him, hey, like, do you want to be more objective in the way that you view reality? Like, does that sound appealing? The guy would be like, yeah, that actually does. A lot of dudes would be like, yeah, that makes sense. I want to be based. The main fallout with women, I think, is mainly that. It's just that women, they don't really care to want to be based. They don't care as much about that as men do. And they care about it to an extent. But objective KPIs are just something that they're not as concerned with. Or establishing what a good objective KPI could be. A common sense one. I've been studying one of the oldest philosophies from my culture and in the world, Taoism. I can see a lot of similarities between Taoism and FP. Yeah, bro, Eastern philosophy has a lot of really good shit. It really does. I mean, it's pretty much where science begins, is in the East. In the South. It's where math began and whatnot. It's just not good enough. Robo Water writes, this is gold. Can you post this so my daughter can watch this? This is great education. Yeah, absolutely. I'll post this up just because you put that, bro. I'm just thinking about how much of the youth is just being misguided by people like Andrew Tate and whatnot. And I'm just like, good Lord. I think the problem is that anytime, if a man issues critique to women in any way, shape, or form, and with men, it's just like the critique is just very basic. Like, don't think so much with your dick. And don't think so much about satisfying your dick in the immediate term. Work on yourself. Work on your psychology. I think but dude, I've met so many men that do that and then they just get trampled. Like dudes that are objectively solid fucking dudes and they just get fucking trampled. And it's not because it's like they'll look around and it's just like fuck. It's just slim pickings out there. I happen to think I don't want to say too much. I'll just say this. I think people like Andrew Tate make it really, really hard for women to want to listen to men. Anytime that men say, hey, look, these are the things that we want. I'm not one of those dudes that's like, oh, a woman has to be a virgin. I don't really care. I've never given a fuck about that. Like, I don't really care. I've never cared about. I've just been like, yeah, it can't be too crazy. Like, obviously, if it's a problem with a woman, then obviously it's a problem. But I don't know. It's I could see where it's confusing for women too, man. I could see that too. But it's like women aren't looking for objectivity. They aren't. They're not looking for control. I think they are once they've gotten older. But when they're younger and they're on the dating market, they're like, and I think by the time that they've gotten older, they're so jaded that it's going to be really, really hard for them to trust any men after a while because their perceptions on what men are the dudes that were cheating and banging a bunch of different chicks. And so then at that point, everything's like just becomes a disappointment. And I think if women date men who are like studs and they sleep with them and they're like, man, look at how socially coherent this guy is. Look how adaptable he is. Like, man, he got in my pants. He was so charming and attractive that he got into my pants. I think everything after that kind of gets ruined in their mind. And they're like, fuck. Like Rollo Tomasi talks about there being like these alpha widows that women have. And I do wonder if that's kind of like what holds women back from being able to be with a normal guy, a normal disciplined guy. Are they always just thinking about the guys prior and just being like, you know what? The guy that I'm with is just never going to live up to that super chattily guy that had given me the time of the day, but didn't take me seriously. What's a KPI? Key performance indicator. Too many men go for the first woman that will reciprocate their interest, or just the first one that's available. Gosh darn, I hate when this thing does this. They can't hold out. Huge red flag. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot of times too. But it's not that they have common interests, bro. It's like they don't have common interest. I think if you find a woman that does have significant common interest, then you should probably think about making a relationship with them. In hindsight, it's just those guys it's the first girl that they find that was nice to them that they'll try and have a relationship with. Okay, I think I'm like way behind. Jesus. Okay, there's way too many. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I'm just gonna scroll. Fucking shit. Okay, I'm not even catching up on the conversation here. And the fucking comments are just blowing up right now. The second I begin to start talking about like dating, Jesus, you guys go fucking crazy. So what are questions you guys have at this point? Do you guys have any questions? I'm just looking at your guys' commentary at this point. I don't think I have a choice but to just keep these damn live feeds up. Even if it causes some semblance of controversy, it's just like, fuck. People are just so fucking lost. Men and women, obviously. You plan to continue making lives for the foreseeable future? I don't really have too many plans. I don't know. I'm going to be getting back on, seeing if I can figure out this fucking book. I'm just like, oh. I just wanted to train people. You know, like I wanted to be that, but I just kind of come to realize that it's like people just need more than physical training. They need better neurological training, like brain training. Do you think someone can change the behavior of their partner? I've been slowly trying to make my partner to be more based. Ever Duque writes, is she a willing participant in the change? That's the question to ask. Ever Duque, is she willing? Does she want to do this? Like, as she said, she wants to change. Have you laid a vision out for what you think she should be, and does she agree with that vision? And does she want to work on that vision with you? Those are the types of conversations you need to have. So that's the question I would pose back to you. What's the vision? What are you trying to change her to? And then she has to be okay with it. She has to be more than okay with it. She has to be inspired to become that thing that you're trying to change her to. And then you have to also ask yourself, is the thing that you're trying to change her to into something that's going to be good for her, for the most part? Because we all have like a distorted image, like a distorted view of reality. And you don't want to impose a distortion on her. Change a 304 into a housewife. I mean, if she can change, I mean, that's the whole thing. You have to take her on. It depends on where she's at, man. Sometimes it takes people, like, they have to learn the hard way with certain things. The problem of what makes a woman a quote-unquote 304 a lot of times can just be, like, it's impulsive reactions to the environment. So, I don't know, man. It's tough. I think it just comes down to how impulsive is the person. That's it. Like, are they, I think a big question is, are they going out seeking to just have sex because they just want to have sex? Or, like, do they just end up having interactions with people and then they just so happen to have sex? But like to them, the idea of bonding is more the factor, and sex kind of just comes with it. And I don't think that all women have sex for the exact same reason either. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's contextual. You have to understand the contextual nature of it. I'm sure there's situations where you can to turn somebody who's had a lot of sex into somebody who's more. The thing is, I don't think that you can take a male whore, like a male 304, and turn them into a husband in many instances that doesn't cheat. Because women are not going to be okay with men cheating, and they shouldn't. They should not learn to be okay with that. They should hold men to that shit. If a man's thinking about sleeping with other women, it's like, bro, discipline yourself. Like, think about it. It's fine. It crosses every man's mind, but it's just kind of like process all the problems that come with it. You know, that's what a mature man is going to do. What if you tell her you want to sleep with other women and she's good with it? I've thought about that, bro, but she's not good with it. You have to realize she's not going to be good with it. And you have to realize as much as she'll put up with it, but she's not going to be good with it. I don't think any woman's going to do that, bro. I don't know, man. It just seems like a lot of fucking problems. It seems like a lot of fucking problems. I got 2 minutes left on this live, and then I'll have to either post it up or take it down. But yeah, I don't know. That whole question of like, yeah, if I've thought about that, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, she's not good with it, bro. She's just like, if she had her choice, she would not want to share you. I guess if it's going to be like a phase in your life or something, maybe she could find a way of rationalizing it. My girlfriend is the most objective woman I've met and gets the whole concept of aligning with natural law, but she can't shake with her religious roots. Do you consider this a major problem? It depends on how far you want to go with things in life. If it doesn't become an obstruction, so be it. It's just like, if she starts saying that she thanks God for something happening, if she gives God the thanks, if she prays, I think prayer is a problem. I think when you pray, it's a problem. If you ask me, I think it's a problem. Like if I have to sit here and be like, oh God, I hope that you can help me find the strength to do this thing or whatever, and you're trying to psych yourself up to do it or whatever. What I love more than anything, I'm going to say this for the next live. I'm going to do another live.